Greetings, partners, lovers, friends, and strangers. It's time once again to take another deep dive into the wonderful world of sports with me, the Nate DOG. Hoping that you all are having a pleasant and prosperous day today. I'm a little melancholy, and you'll find out why in a minute. So, this clip's going to be a little bit shorter, but hopefully, you'll understand why. So, I got a few things I'd like to say. Hoping you'll be nice enough to stay. You definitely deserve a break today, and we're going to do things my way. Why? Because it is my channel, as you already know. Okay. Um, I've got a few things to say about the National Basketball Association. First of all, congratulations to Doc Rivers. With you winning just one game out of five, you, it only is you have now become the coach of the NBA Eastern All Stars. Now, a lot of people are scratching their head and they're saying, what's causing all this? Well, basically, the NBA has a rule that says at a certain period, I think the actual halfway point, the team that has the best record in the conferences, Eastern and Western, then that team's coach is given the honor of coaching that all-star team, which I'm cool with that. I mean, after all, it's the players' league, but it's nice that the coach gets a little bit. And the NBA has changed their rules pretty much in the past few years to make sure that a lot of uh, teams and their coaches get the appropriate accolades. Um, the NBA has it so that teams cannot have their coach the All Star game in back to back years. So that means if you won a championship the previous year and you're coming back and you're about to do a repeat, well, you're not going to do that. Or if you were the champion last year and your team basically sucks this year, you're not being rewarded for coaching a sucking team. It's basically what you've done this season. And the NBA also has a rule that says if you coached it last year, then you're disqualified from coaching it this year. So that way someone else gets a chance to do it. So in this case, since the Boston Celtics have the best record in the league again, uh, Joe Mazzulla coached the All Star team last year, so therefore he is ineligible to coach it, which then led to the team with the second best record, which was at the time the Milwaukee Bucks. But Milwaukee fired their coach. So as a result, Doc Rivers gets the job, and a lot of people are thinking that's really foul. Well, we can't talk about how Milwaukee handles their business. We do know that since the coach was fired, he's no longer in the league, so he really doesn't. It would be really awkward if he came back just to coach one exhibition game. So you can't do that to that guy. And you know who else you can't do something bad to? You can't do something bad to those assistant coaches who assisted the head coach in getting that team to that record. Now, you've heard me say on these airwaves that talent wins games, but coaching does have a hand in some of it because we've seen some talented teams that can't get over the hump until you get the right coach in the right situation to then take them to that next level. So I'm not poo pooing coaching as a whole, but at the end of the day, I've always said, and I'll say it again, between giving me talent and coaches, give me talent. I like my chances. So since they can't make Giannis Antetokounmpo the coach for the All Star team, instead, it's going to be Doc Rivers. But basically, it's more so about the assistants that were under the previous regime. They're getting their flowers. So props to them. NBA, you need to fix this though, because it really isn't kind of right. But then again, Milwaukee does weird things. You know, they fired Adrian Griffin and he only won twice as many games as he lost. And they fired coach Budenholzer, who's only a couple of seasons away from winning a championship, and it's not like the team had a losing record. Strange things are going on in Milwaukee. And I hope it isn't to placate the ego of one Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, dude, you're good. You are a tremendous player. But my guy, you're winning games. And good coaches don't grow on trees. Okay? So I think you need to pick a coach and stay with it. And one thing Doc Rivers will do is he will teach that team some defense. And he got some help today because at the trade deadline, the Milwaukee Bucks received Patrick Beverly. So after that trade went down, the first thing that should have happened is somebody should have brokered a phone call between Pat Bev and Dame Time because, as you know, their beef is legendary. Now they're on the same squad. And you know what? Pat Bev is going to add a lot to Milwaukee because he's going to add some defense, something that's missing throughout the league. Okay. Why do you say, well, Nate, it's missing throughout the league? Well, let's talk about the league. Okay. First of all, we got to talk about the Western Conference, only because that's the slide I have up. And if you notice for the Western Conference, all the teams that are shaded in blue are the top 6 teams in the league right now. The teams that are shaded in yellow are the teams that would get in via the play in, which means the teams in the white are on the outside looking in. And I have it sorted not by wins and losses or playoff seeding. You see their seedings in the parenthesis. No. I have them listed by points they give up a game, points allowed per game. And you'll see that Minnesota is the top defensive team according to these numbers in the Western Conference. The little number after that, that lonely little 6 on the far right hand side, that shows the difference between how many points they score a game and how many points they allow a game. And you see, if your number is higher, your success rate is usually better. And if you look at the top 5 teams, now Houston is in there because while they don't score a lot of points, they don't give up a lot of points. So if Houston could jumpstart their offense by a couple of points, they could win a few games and they could find themselves right in the mix. But if you look at these defenses, Minnesota at 107 points a game, Denver 110, the Clippers 112 while scoring 118. So in essence, they score 6 more points than they give up. That's going to get you a record of success. Look at the Pelicans. The Pelicans are seeded fifth. They only give up 112.5 points a game, right next to the Clippers. They just don't have. They're a little bit shy on the offense, but they're only what 4 games back, so they're not very far out from catching the Clippers, who everyone is raving about how they're probably one of the hottest teams in the league. But we can't have a conversation about the Western Conference unless we talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've got the best record, or they're tied for the best record in the Western Conference. And you notice, look at their offense. They score 120, almost 121 points a game, but they give up only 113. Look at that. It's defense. Look at these teams up here. The top defensive teams, all but one, are in the playoffs. And I'm not talking about play in, they are in the playoffs. The only exceptions is Memphis and Houston. They're pretty decent defensively, but Memphis Grizzlies, obviously, they're missing John Morant so much because if he was playing, that points per game would go up and it would probably be in the midst of things. Look at the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns has the big three, KD, Booker, and Beal. Okay, and that's adding to almost 117 points per game. But their problem is defense. They average 114. They score almost 3 points more than they give up. That's kind of like on the shady point. Okay, then you look at a team like Portland. Portland Again, horrible offense. They have no one to put the ball in the hoop. That's why their differential is -8 a game. But their defense, now we're starting to get into that Mendoza line where defense is kind of shoddy. Okay, look at the Lakers. Everyone's talking about LeBron and AD and all these other guys, but look, you are not going to be able, even though they're in the ninth seed, you are not going to get far when you give up more points than you score. They're at a minus, basically a point a game off. You can't win games when you give up more points than you score. And you're giving up 117. That's pretty doggone close. When you're over one, in my mind, when you're over 115, you're in trouble. And 120, that's really the danger zone. Look at the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, the Splash Brothers, all that other stuff. Yeah, they put that ball in 118.9, but they give up 118.1. So as much as they score and fill it with buckets, they're also giving that up defensively. That's why they're that's why they are where they are. Sacramento. Sacramento is, last year's darlings. Now they're in the seventh spot. Yeah, they're 6 games above 500, but they give up as many points as they score. You're not going to win games doing that. Same with the Dallas Mavericks. Same position. If your offense is going to falter, your defense got to be tight. And right now, giving up 118 points a game is not going to cut it, especially in the playoffs. Here's the Utah Jazz. They're the number 10th team. They are at 500, but again, they almost give up almost 2 more points a game than they score. And then pulling up the rear, even though you have Victor Wembanyama, who probably is going to be Defensive Player of the Year with the stats that he's putting up, you got to look at the fact they've won only 10 games. They only score 112, but look what they give up defensively. So when Victor isn't on the floor, people are feasting on this team. They're being outscored almost 9 points more than they put up. You're not going to win many games like that in the association doing this type of stuff. Now let's talk about the East. In the East, the best defensive team, which is no surprise, is Tom Thibodeau's New York Knicks. But look at that defense. 109 points a game. Everybody else is north of 111. They are at 109 a game, man. Look at that. And they're not super bad offensively. They gave up. They score 115. So 115 is kind of like the Mendoza line in today's NBA. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the Knicks score almost 6 points a game more than they give up, and they're only giving up 109.4. And right on their heels is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They again. They have the second best record. The Knicks have the fourth best record. They're only a game behind. They're only half game separating those two right now. And you'll see that the Cavaliers only give up 109 points a game, but they score 114. So their difference is 5.2. But both of those teams are going to be in the mix because they play defense. They shut you down. That 109 is probably going to be indicative of what playoff basketball is going to be about. When you're seeing the same team over and over again, and you know their tendencies, you know their weaknesses, you know their strength, I don't think we're going to see 140 point games like we've been seeing in the past few weeks. Next, the third best defensive team is the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic needs to kind of kick it in gear offensively, but defensively, they only give up 110 points a game. So if they stay the course on that defense and try to put that ball in the hoop a little better, they can do that. Same with the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat is right behind Orlando, and they pretty much have the same problem. They have a problem scoring. They only average 110 points a game, but it's the same amount that they give up. So they're going to have to kick it up offensively or kick it up defensively and stop other people from scoring. The best team in the East is in the middle of the pack, pretty much defensively. They're in the top 5. It's the Boston Celtics. But look at the Celtics. While they give up only 110 points a game, they score 120. So not only are they pretty much D'ing people up, but they're putting the ball in the hoop. There's no and that's no secret why they have the best record in the league. Okay? When you can score and stop other people from scoring, they are averaging almost 9.6 points more than they give up. That's huge. That's a gigantic gap. So, Boston, if they continue to stay defensively the way they are, they're going to be the number one seed, and nobody wants to see those Celtics. I know I don't. Okay. We see the Chicago Bulls right behind them, 112 points a game. But again, they're offensively challenged. And this is what's going to kill some of these teams. The fact that, yes, you play good defense, but at the same time, you can't put the ball in yourself. You know, you gotta get buckets. You gotta get buckets. Philadelphia, they're gonna have problems putting the ball in the hoop with Joel Embiid out for an extended period of time. But right now, they only give up 113 a game, but they average 118. That's 4.8. But that's going to change because they're losing a significant amount of their offense with Embiid on the shelf. Um, we're looking at outside teams looking in. We see three teams that are defensively challenged that are in the playoffs. And one of them is your Milwaukee Bucks. They give up 119 points a game. Remember, I told you when I talked about the Western Conference, I said when you're averaging over 115 scoring, you're doing well. That's the Mendoza line. If you can D below 115, you're doing pretty doggone decent in today's NBA. But you got Milwaukee, they average 123.3, so they don't have a problem scoring. The problem is they can't stop nobody else. They average 119, almost giving up 120 points a game themselves. That's where Pat Beverly comes in. Pat Beverly is going to make that number go down significantly with his defense. Watch and see. So I think the biggest winner in this trade deadline, so to speak, in my opinion, is the Milwaukee Bucks because they addressed something that needed to be addressed. They are weak defensively, and I've gotten a heck of a lot stronger with Pat Beverly. Um, if we look at the Charlotte Hornets and the Detroit Pistons, you see why these two teams are horrible, along with the Washington Wizards. I mean, you're giving up over 120 points a game, and you're barely scoring 113, 114. That's not going to cut it. But, again, these teams are pretty much in rebuild. It's all about the draft lottery for them. We'll have a discussion about them later on when it comes time to talk about the draft. The Indiana Pacers. Again, their problem in the playoffs is they have no problem scoring, but that Matador defense that they're playing, you are not going to win playoffs if you can't stop people. So it's critical that these teams that are in the playoffs shore up their defense. The worst defensive team in the Eastern Conference is also the 10th seeded team, the last team in the play-in, that's the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are 7 games under 500, but they almost give up 100 and they give up 124 points a game while scoring 121. Yeah, again, you can fill it up, but you can't stop nobody. If you are going to win in this NBA, yes, it is critical that you're able to score. But you know what? There comes a time when you got to make a stop. There comes a time when you have to sit up here and go mano y mano with your guy, and you got to contest his shot. Teams that are going to win championships are teams that are going to be able to play defense. So, yes, I know you all love the free flow of offense. I know you guys love watching guys get 40, 50, 60, 70 points a game, 80 points a game. I know that just tickles your fancy and excites your soul. But at the end of the day, it's not going to win you a title, my guy. It's not. What's going to win you a title is the team that contests every shot, that plays defense. And like I said, yeah, you can bust those shots all day long. But you know what? If you look at Golden State's championships, Even though they were known for their 3-point shooting, you know what else they were known for? When Dre Day locks you down. Defense wins championships, folks. I don't care what anybody says. Defense wins championships. Changing sports. We're going to find that out in the Super Bowl because Kansas City's defense is better than San Francisco's defense. That's why I picked the Chiefs. Defense wins championships. Offense puts people in the seats, but defense is going to win your championship. Watch and see. But the good news is, old school can always be proven wrong, but it is what it is. So that's what I got to say for today. Today is really melancholy because today is my late son's birthday. And I'm not going to bring this whole broadcast down, but I'm going to tell you, as a parent, the worst thing you ever can experience is when you lose a child. And it's not easy when birthdays come up and holidays come up and events. Today, on my son's birthday, he was a huge, huge, huge Kobe Bean Bryant fan. Loved him some Kobe. And today, they unveiled Kobe Bryant's statue. And I know my son would have been there. He'd have found a way to get to LA. Well, I live in Phoenix, so it wouldn't have been too far. But he'd have found a way to get to LA to see that because he loved him some Kobe. He loved Kobe Bryant. Okay. So on this particular day, when they raised that statue, and I think about today was his birthday, it did kind of take me back. But you know, as time goes on, you still miss your loved one, but the memories of how they go get flipped into the time that they blessed you. So, what I'm saying today is that if you're a parent, no matter how old your kids are, whether they're 2 or 92, if you're able to hug your kid and tell them how much you love them because we only have so many opportunities to do that. So thank you so much. Please comment, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Always imparting, I wish you love, peace, hair grease, Michigan.